We're the most innovative, richest country the world has ever known, with the greatest and strongest.
That's not true. That's not the case. Like, that's no longer the case. If that was the case, we wouldn't be having, there wouldn't be such a big fuss over China dominating us in the global trade. Like, that's just not the case. That's copium.
Military ever. We've done pretty well. We need to keep doing well, but let's not pretend that we're not a country of strength.
Is back. Judge, so Robot Harold says that the past is dead. Forget about the good way.
Yeah, manly jobs, the robot builder. Matt Bruning had a good statement on this. I agree. There's a bit of cargo cultism in which people associate certain labor relations regimes with specific kinds of production and chase the latter, even though it's not necessary nor sufficient for the former. McDonald's workers in Denmark make more than Honda workers in Alabama. Exactly. This is something that I talked about with respect to coal miners. Okay? There's this notion in the United States of America that the coal miners are the backbone of the labor force, right? There's less coal miners than there are fucking Arby's workers in this goddamn country. Okay? We just have fantasized about the old ways in which manufacturing worked in this country. There are plenty of people that are working right now. 23% are underemployed. But there are plenty of fucking jobs in the service sector. The problem isn't necessarily that there aren't fucking jobs. The problem is the pay sucks. So even if you were to bring back manufacturing, while manufacturing in and of itself manufacturing in general is historically resilient in terms of union participation, that in and of itself would not solve the problem anyway. And we're not even building the fucking factories to be able to do this kind of output. That's it. It's so stupid. Like, we have jobs already. This isn't to say it's bad to combat offshoring of manufacturing capabilities. I'm not saying that at all. But make no fucking mistake. Make no mistake. We already have jobs here. The problem is not what kind of jobs we have or whether they're gay jobs as opposed to straight man jobs. The problem is these are jobs that don't pay because capital owners are the problem. The way that we have designed this society is the problem. It's not China that is the problem. China is just playing the same game that everyone else is playing. They're just playing it better than we are, and now we're mad. We designed this structure, and now we're mad that our own design that has given us affordable treats for decades is actually cooking us because China has far too much power, being the manufacturing hub of the world. Friendly reminder, U.S. factory jobs only became synonymous with middle-class prosperity because of mass unionization. Exactly. Trump's mirage of reindustrialized America covers up this central fact. People forget that factory jobs in the U.S. were despotic hellholes until union drives in the 30s and 40s introduced some security, safety, and industrial democracy. Saying you're pro-factory doesn't mean you're pro-worker. The key to bringing back American prosperity is unionization, not reindustrialization per se. It is definitely good to try and bring back manufacturing plants, but we should be real. Because of automation in the U.S., we'll never again have more than 15% of its workforce in manufacturing. For all these reasons, manufacturing's share of employment has been falling in all rich countries over the past 50 years. Even in Japan, which has promoted manufacturing through protectionist trade policy and government subsidies, the percentage of workers employed in manufacturing has fallen to just over 15%. And this same trend is beginning to surface in China because Japan, regardless of the trade protectionism, is still very much susceptible to the same capitalist modes of production and the capitalist interests. Even in China, this is an issue, okay? Despite that nation's massive trade surplus, its manufacturing sector went from employing 30.3% of all workers in 2013 to 29.1% in 2023. Places like China, on the other hand, can at the very least make up for the lack of the labor force, or rather, places like Japan also do this to some degree. Instead of doing mass layoffs, they try to maintain people in those jobs regardless of automation, and that is the new method that should be in place, that people should still oversee the robot arms, okay? Automation should not be used as a mechanism to displace the pre-existing labor force. It should be used as a mechanism to lift the burden of the pre-existing labor force. Automation should be Automation should be a thing that we are actually excited about so that people don't actually have to work, but they still collect the fucking paychecks, higher paychecks than they ever did, in less time than they ever did. This is the problem. And if you don't actually change your strategy, if you don't actually change your fucking vision on this, you will never be able to solve the issue. Because the issue in and of itself is the wealth inequality, is the income inequality. Dude, talk about self-checkout. That's the perfect example. Exactly. Self-checkout is there to displace the pre-existing cash register workers, okay? Because cash register workers have to get benefits. They can get hurt on the job, and then you have to do workers' comp. There's so much going on. Labor is the most malleable aspect of commodity production. And of course, for that reason, it's the one that gets the downward pressure all the time from capital owners. Self-checkout is fine as long as you still have a cashier working the exact same fucking self-checkout process. If you want to do self-checkout, that's all fine. If you want to do automation, that's fine. You still have to have the same labor force. And that would require capital owners to eat away at their profit margins, and they will never do that. It goes against capitalism. It goes against the way that we have designed this system. That is the problem. The system is at fault here. So if you do everything in your power to avoid addressing the real elephant in the room, which is capitalism, then you will never be able to solve these issues. You'll just engage in these cope spirals where they turn around and you fucking say, hey, guess what? We're going to bring back manufacturing to the United States of America and everyone's going to go and sew socks in a fucking factory. It's not going to happen. No one is going to do that for 13 cents an hour or whatever the fuck. Okay?